Let me say this, that the President of the Republic of Kenya, His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta, has every right, like any other citizen, to endorse or to chart for this country what he believes is the best course for the country. And I think in arranging a meeting to endorse Raila Odinga at Sagana 3, the President is simply telling the country that this is your best choice for governance after 9th of August 2022. Remember, he's still in office, and like as the head of the state, as the CEO, it behoves the president to do what he believes is best for this country. So I don't see any contradiction in this meeting and in the plans to ensure that the transition takes root as intended. And remember, we already have in place the amendments to the Political Parties Act that has created a coalition that will bring in like-minded politicians and leaders to guide this country to the next stage. So the president has every right to show where this country should head. That's on the point, the political question. Of course, in the same vein, Governor Mutua, Governor Kibwana, and Governor Charity Ngilu are simply telling the lower eastern region, the Kambani, that this is the way to go. We need to go in this direction. And so that they leave His Excellency Kalonzo Musyoka with no choice. Because if they take the people, then Kalonzo will remain alone without the people of Lower Eastern. And I think that is the route they're charting. His Excellency Mutua is simply saying, this is the new course. Let us pick development. Let us choose what is good for the people. Let us follow Asimio. Let us follow Raila Odinga. And I think that is a proper choice. On the BBI, now that you've mentioned, the BBI ruling, the long-awaited, because it's much-awaited BBI ruling, will define a number of parameters within the jurisprudential setup of this country. Remember, the Supreme Court appeal that was filed under Article 163(4)(a) basically will portend new beginnings in terms of establishing whether or not the basic structure doctrine applies in Kenya, establishing whether the popular initiative mode of commencing amendments to the Constitution under Article 257 can be done in the manner it was done. Remember, the contention was that the president, as a citizen, or could not initiate the process because he's not a citizen, and that the framework that was established to originate the BBI process was erroneous. The Supreme Court has to deal with this. The question as to whether the prior creation of constituencies, the 70 constituencies, was a proper process, that's another issue to determine. And whether IBC was properly constituted to attack the... Remember, the four-tier process of public participation, a referendum, as the four-stage process, as defined by the High Court and then Court of Appeal, is also in contention. So we have 7 issues that await the determination of the Supreme Court. And I think your guess is as good as mine. I believe that the Supreme Court will set aside a number of findings from the High Court and the Court of Appeal. I believe that the basic structure doctrine, as applied or as found by the High Court and the Court of Appeal to be applicable to Kenya, I think will be set aside. I believe the Supreme Court will also find, probably, that the president, as a citizen, can originate a popular initiative amendment to the Constitution.
And those are your personal views?
These are my views. Well,
okay.
Well,
you're not impugning
remember,
on the territory of the court.
No. Remember, yes. I'm a practitioner, a long-standing practitioner of constitutional issues of the Supreme Court. I have done many cases of the Supreme Court. And so I also listen to the ground and I read. So I expect a number of upsets to the decision of the Court of Appeal. I think the more difficult questions would be on the procedure set for constituency review. that will be a tough call for the Supreme Court.
Okay.
That, I think, may be... So I think there'll be wins and gains. But there's a problematic here.
Okay, briefly.
Remember, the Supreme Court determines its decisions on notice. It will determine that on notice, so there's no date set yet. But secondly, the time frame question, so that even if the Supreme Court found that the BBI indeed was correct in most of its steps and findings, there may not be sufficient time appropriate to reignite the process before the election. But that is perhaps a task that will be done then after. But in my view, BBI, as I've always said, is good for this country, largely.
Okay.